Hey everybody! Just to touch base on this joji drawing, this is one of my more realistic pieces. I started drawing 6 years ago to perfect my realism, but as you saw in my last video, my style morphed into semi-realism cartooning. For these more realistic drawings, I tend to cut the sketching process out completely because I'm kind of a perfectionist, and sometimes sketching takes longer than coloring. In future videos, I plan on giving more tips on sketching and how I make use of grids and all that jazz, but anyways, not the topic we're focusing on today. I knew that this was going to be a topic I wanted to talk about on my channel, but I didn't think it would be so fast. I want to disclaim that this is a serious topic and I'm in no way a professional. If somebody with depression happens to stumble onto this video, there's absolutely no shame in seeking professional help. It's actually really cool. Being honest with yourself and reaching out for help is the strongest thing somebody can do when they recognize a problem. I'm only talking about this through personal experience because everyone has a different story. So I've thought about this topic a lot in the past. Why does there seem to be a spike of mental disorders in the artistic community? Why is the tortured artist even a trope? Why is it that almost every artistic individual I know suffers from some kind of mental illness? Of course, depression and other mental illnesses can affect people of all kinds, but artists in particular seem plagued by this. Maybe I should use a more broad descriptor instead of artist, like creatives. It doesn't matter if you write, paint, cook, design, you're still a creative. I was researching for this video to find artists who are mentally sick and literally found a whole Wikipedia page dedicated to alphabetically categorizing all the artists who have offed themselves. Also on that page, I found a dude from Pakistan named Asim Butt. Asim Butt. I feel like I was obligated to share that because it was a joy just to find his name. But in all seriousness, creatives like Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain have just recently taken their lives due to overwhelming depression, and not long ago, a genius and inspiration of mine, Alexander McQueen, had also taken his life. For anybody listening, I highly recommend the McQueen documentary on Netflix. It's amazing. Looking into my own experience with depression, I find that mine comes from sadness at the world. Sadness at the world, sadness towards my environment, and sadness towards myself. My creativity is an outlet for me to channel my feelings, but I also use it to forget everything for a while. The act of drawing sometimes can help me relax. I thought that perfecting my realism would finally make me happy, but even now that I'm fairly good at it, I still feel like I'm not good enough. And there lies another problem among creatives. We judge our art so harshly, and I don't know about anybody else, but I take mean comments about my art really bad. I know the reason I talk down my art so much is so that nobody else will. It's like that episode of The Office where Michael gets roasted. Wait, is that the right episode? Anyways, whatever. So Jim tells him to talk down about himself so everyone will hype him up, because nobody's gonna agree with you when you talk shit about yourself. I used to tell everyone, I don't want to show you my art because it's so shit. So when I showed them my shitty art, they wouldn't say, yeah, you're right. They'd say, no, you're being too hard on yourself. Do I think I have shitty art? Honestly, no. I worked hard on my skill and I've come a long way. Obviously, there's always room for improvements. I haven't mastered it, if you will. I know I veered off topic. I think it ties into the whole depression thing, though. Like, why do I care so much about what other people think and what other people have to say about my art? I made it. Even if it looks bad, it could just be a creative decision I've made to make it look bad. The only reason why we may lie about our art or about ourselves, calling ourselves talentless and unskilled when we know otherwise, is fear of rejection. And personally, I think that the reason why a lot of us are depressed is because we have the fear of rejection. Whether it be societal rejection, familial rejection, relationship rejection, or even personal rejection. Whoa, that's pretty deep. I used to reject myself all the time, and when I was at my saddest, I hated everything about myself. My mom asked me to say one thing I liked about myself in the 8th grade, and I sat in silence in the car for, I kid you not, it was definitely like half an hour with nothing to say. I'm much better now that I've accepted more of my imperfections, but I still catch myself feeling really down on myself. And I'm harshest on my art. So, are creatives depressed because of their discontent with the world? Are they unhappy because their one outlet, whether that be painting, designing, whatever, is being judged by everyone? Do we feel upset about sharing our most intimate creations with the world only to be rejected by it later? Is it because there's a stigma that artists are unable to make money and you're basically just getting a degree to become a barista? I feel like I haven't answered any of these questions. Maybe it's just different for everybody. I think the fact that I grew up in the suburbs has also aided to this feeling of unhappiness. Growing up around people who follow the rules of authority figures rather than making the rules themselves. Okay, that kind of sounded like me saying that I break the law, which I don't anymore. I mean that creatives don't march to the beat of another drummer. We don't even march to the beat of our own drum. We make the drum out of sticks and stones or bang our heads against the wall and use that as a beat. We're a bunch of weirdos for a reason. We feel different from everybody else. In the suburbs, I feel like an actual alien. And in no way am I saying that feeling different means that I'm better than anyone else. Hell, I lived my whole life wanting to be like everybody else, but instead sitting alone at recess and reading Stephanie Meyer. Yeah, I was a Twilight kid. This could all be fabricated though. I could feel super alienated and different from everyone around me, but I think Maya Angelou says it best when she said, "We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike." And I love that quote. I rarely remember quotes. I don't even remember my breakfast this morning, but I remember that quote. It stuck to me when I read it in high school because for the first time I wasn't separating myself. I wasn't different from those around me. And when I started meditating, I really resonated with that quote. It does make you realize that we label ourselves in so many different ways to express our individuality, and individuality is great. But the more labels we burden ourselves with, the more we separate ourselves from everybody else. I hate to let my hippie shine through, but we're all depressed and we all hate each other. Meanwhile, we're all the same. It's crazy just how divided we are on politics alone, which I'm not getting into in this video. Maybe that's a completely different video. The truth is, we're all awesome in our own ways. I think when we're younger, we care so much about what other people think about us, but as you get older, you kind of lose interest. It does depend on who you listen to and where your values lie, whether you'll get better or worse. Instead of trying to conform to what society wants me to be, I just given up at this point. I've never been perfect. I'll never be perfect, so I don't see the point in trying. I've just recently gave up trying to look desirable to those around me and be socially accepted, and damn, does it feel liberating. Almost like the universe is working in my favor. It's great. I wish that everybody knew their true power. We all feel weird inside, and not a lot of people on social media really expresses that. In conclusion, depression blows. I've had it for as long as I can remember, and I've dealt with feeling outcasted for almost 8 years now. But we don't have to live this way. Depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain. It'll always be there to some degree, but being the victim of your own story is the worst thing you can do when you feel terrible about yourself. You need to start by tolerating yourself, then saying nicer words to yourself, then hopefully someday loving yourself. Or if you don't mind yourself but you hate the world, do these steps, but with the world. Send your love out to random strangers you see on the street. This topic felt a bit fitting for this video because Joji's song Will He is one of those songs I just listen to when I'm like in the dumps and feel like crying. It's a good song, but really depressing, like all his songs. Anywho, I hope you got something out of this video. I have a lot to say on this topic, so maybe I can make another video like this and analyze a little further. Who knows? That's probably an empty promise. It's just very interesting to me. Like, dislike, subscribe, notification thing, and for any creative listening, don't do anything permanent. You're just as important to this planet as anybody else, and that even includes Kurt Cobain. If you're sad that Kurt Cobain isn't alive right now, reconsider taking your own life, because the heart of it, we're all the same. Man, that was a cheesy ending. Yay.